Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ruby, this is Ruby Red, and today we're playing Bailey's TBR game, Joke's on Me. If you don't know Bailey from Is Bailey Reading, don't worry, everything's linked below. Definitely check her out because she's the best, and this is her TBR game, and she's been playing it for over a year, and it is special. It's special because it's about reading down your physical TBR, so your owned bookshelf. So to play the game, you move around the board, flipping over cards to determine how far you move, and you do the prompts you land on, and all of the books for those prompts have to be pulled from your owned TBR. So for me, this means my bookshelf of unread books. My read books are in the basement. Not all the way moved in yet, it's fine. So those are the books that I'm going to be pulling from while I play this game. The way that Bailey structures it when she plays is that she posts videos of each episode, and an episode contains 3 card flips, and the episodes keep going until the round is completed when you reach the point of the board that you started from. And it's called Joke's on Me because wherever you are on the board when you draw Joker, that's your new starting point that you have to get back to end the round. So I'm not committing to playing a full round right now, but I do want to post a full episode. I've been wanting to play this game since Bailey first made it, so I'm really excited. I have acquired 9 books since I moved here just a few months ago, and I have read 0. So of the books, I've read a few books, but so few. So anyway, we're gonna play. So flashback to last night when I needed to pick a book to read and I did my card flips. All right, here we are. I printed out my board. I've got my little, this guy, who will go, well, I guess he'll just do that. And my cards, which are funny. And I'm just gonna do the first 3 flips and then we'll see what I have to read. Okay, our first card, okay, is a king. Very interesting. We don't move at all and we buy a book. So the game includes some special cards which have special characteristics, and one of those cards is the king, which means you buy a book. That's just meant to be a special treat. You don't have to read the book in the episode, I've been assured. So yesterday I was at a bookshop and I did buy a book, and the one I bought was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I was already planning to buy a book to kind of treat myself for doing something that I had been really scared of. So I bought it and I'm looking forward to reading this. I think it's in the like cozy fantasy sort of genre, with a romantic spin maybe. And I've been seeing people start hyping up the second book in the series. So in a way, this is some Squash That Series prep for me if I read this month or next month. Our second card is a 3. Oh my god, okay. And this one you do all 3 prompts in a row, so I have to read a book I've owned for more than a year, do a reread of my choice, and then 3 is Chris pick, but I'm gonna do Connor pick. Teehee. So right out the gate, I don't have a book to read, and now I have 3 books to read. So for the 3 prompts that I have to read from the 3, the first one, owned for more than a year, I think I'm going to read The Arbornaut. I have owned this for more than a year. I was having trouble figuring out which books I have actually owned for a year. A lot of the ones that I owned but hadn't yet read, I donated when we moved, because if I've had it for more than a year and haven't read it, I maybe don't actually want to read it that bad. But also I've read a lot of them recently. So this is one of the only ones left, and classic Ruby, I haven't read it because it's a hardcover book and I don't like to hold it. But I got the audiobook. So this is my plan for owned for more than a year, but because I already started it before, if I start the audiobook and I don't really like it, okay, yeah, when I sat down to film this, I was feeling very tentative about choosing this, but now that I'm here, I feel very certain this is the book that I'm going to read, and if I DNF it, it still counts as fulfilling the prompt because it's off my shelf. Then we have a reread of my choice. I'm not really a rereader. I do have a couple of books that I want to reread, but what I've chosen instead is Assassin's Apprentice. I loved this book when I first read it early on my booktube journey, and now I am doing a read along with some friends of this series. So I'm going to be rereading The Assassin's Apprentice for this episode. Connor's reading this one right now. I have the audiobook that I'm going to listen to. So excited about that. So the final prompt for this card is a Chris pick, which I'm going to do a Connor pick. I asked Connor to pick a book. They picked one, and then I didn't actually want to read it all that much right now. So I said, could you actually pick a fiction book for me? And Connor said, of course, and ended up picking Cursed Bread by Sophie McIntosh. McIntosh? Yeah. So I started this one last night, and I'm really excited to get to this. It was one of the shortlists for the Women's Prize for Fiction this year. And it's a weird one, I think. So excited. The pages, they have very few words on them, so I think that this one will read quick. So I've already started this and The Assassin's Apprentice. Final card. And then finally, a 7, which is also a special one, which is Jump Across the Board. I had to ask for clarification on this prompt, and I kind of don't remember what happened, but I'm just gonna like go with my gut and say that I'm gonna go like halfway around the board. So I'm 3 from the end over here, and I'm gonna go 3 from the end over there, and that is book club. So my 4th book is gonna be a book club book. I'm so excited. Book club pick. So now I have Dances Upon Air, which is the book club book for Shelf This month, which I do want to read, and I have a hold on Libby, and it should come in any day now. So that will be my ebook. So I think book club books are like the exception to the rule of it has to be on your TBR. Maybe not, but for me they are. I'm gonna read the book club book, and now the 2 obligation reads that I had for this month are covered in my first episode, so that is exciting. One final element before we really get reading is that Bailey picks a My Choice book for every episode, which doesn't have to be from her TBR. So for me, that would be like anything else. And I do intend to do that, but I feel a little bit conflicted because I'm already going off my own shelf for my book club pick. So maybe my mood read bonus pick should be from my TBR. So I think eventually I'll pick an arc to read for this episode, but I haven't decided yet because I've already got the 4 books going, and I don't know what else I'm going to be in the mood for. So we'll talk about that when I choose it. But for now, this is what's on the menu, and I'm so happy to be here. Hi, reading update time. I have been reading, which is really exciting. It feels really good. And the books, I'm reading them. So that's huge. I have made significant progress through The Assassin's Apprentice. So I'm going to give a little bit of an update about that. And I have started Dance Upon Air. Dance Upon Air. And I have started Cursed Bread. So we'll start with Assassin's Apprentice. So the first thing that's really important that I say, I think, is that I understand the rereaders now. I have not reread a book in a long time. I have not been, I've struggled with it as a concept because there's so many other books I want to read. So taking the time to read a book that I already read again, like I already consumed that, and I just had this thing in my head, like it's so much more, it's a waste of time to go back to something. Like I should just keep moving forward and get to the next book because there's so many books. But because of this read along I'm doing with some friends, I am rereading it and I'm enjoying it immensely. I've been flying through it. I'm listening to the audiobook. I think I'm more than halfway done at this point, and yeah, I'm having a great time because there are so many little crumbs sprinkled throughout the beginning of the book and even just like the first book in this series that I'm like, wow, writers, some of them really know how to write. And Robin Hobb is one of them. Like, she put a lot into this book that I don't know that you would recognize as foreshadowing or that you
just like little, oh, it's just so good. It's been so fun. Hi, Carbon. If you're not familiar with the story, The Assassin's Apprentice is the first book in the Farseer trilogy, which is the first trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings saga, maybe. And it's about a guy. It's about Fitz, who was born on the wrong side of the sheets to the prince in waiting of this kingdom. So we start when he's about 6 years old, and he's brought by his grandfather to some of the king's men, basically surrendered, like, please let him be your problem now. And he's taken in by the royal, family kind of, and initially he is put under the guardianship of his father's like stable master. So as a child, that's how he sort of starts to grow up, and then he moves on to training to become an assassin. So he is apprenticed to an assassin. He's the assassin's apprentice. And that's sort of how he's going to be able to serve his king, is by being an assassin and doing like underhanded diplomacy, as they say. Because of his birth, he has like a little bit of a foot in both worlds of like being a commoner and being royal. And so he sees like two sides of the town and the kingdom. I just find him to be such an interesting character. He doesn't always make the right choice, obviously, but he just anyway, I really root for him. And there are so many funny characters in this book. Oh my god, I love them so much. And there's also a lot of animals in this. Which, like, does Robin Hobb just love animals? I don't know, but Burke loves animals and sort of instills that into Fitz. And I'm not sure how much more to say about it without spoiling anything, but yeah, I'm having a great time. I love this book. Okay, now let me introduce the other two that I've started and just share some initial thoughts. So Cursed Bread by Sophie Mackintosh. It's weird. It's like maybe it's part of the unhinged woman genre, but it's told from the perspective of the baker's wife in this French, village in the 1950s. And the ambassador moves to town with his wife, and our narrator is like kind of obsessed with them. She's just like enthralled by like their dynamic, their relationship. Does she have like a crush on the woman? Is she just like, does she want to be here? Like, it's just like, it's interesting. And yeah, her husband is the baker, so she works at the bakery. And there's something about the ambassador's wife, like she can't eat the bread. Don't eat the bread. But I don't really understand what's going on there, but I have only just started it, so that's why. So that's my physical read right now. And then I also started an ebook because, of course, I did. And that is Dance Upon Air by Nora Roberts. I've never read Nora Roberts before, and this book was published in 2001, and it's set in 2001. This woman, Nell, moves to this little island off the coast of Massachusetts, I guess. Oh, yeah. It has something to do with Salem. The prologue was like Salem witch trials, magic, kind of, I think. And then, so it's like the island was created by some witches to like protect themselves from the witch hunts. And now, modern day, 2001, the last time this story I think would be feasible, because she is like, our main character now is running from an abusive relationship in Hollywood and LA. And she's like, oh, I got so much past, so much to hide. She's so skittish. She's traumatized and afraid, but she really is like ready to make her fresh start. And she's an incredible cook. So I love reading that. I love reading about her preparing the tarts and the sandwiches and the soups that she's making. She gets a job right away as the like cook slash baker for this bookshop cafe. Like, perfect world. Nora Roberts really knew what she was doing with that one. And there's also something is up with the sheriff in town. And also like there's some other people on the island who are like, it's probably like the three witches are like reincarnated or something, like it's like the essence of the three is back together again, because one of the owners of the bookshop, she's got like weird vibes. She trusts her gut. She's kind of witchy. And then the sheriff's sister, who's the deputy, she's also like part of it somehow. I only read 3 chapters, so much to be discovered. But I do think it's probably bad for the only 2 law enforcement people on the island to be siblings. It just feels wrong. Feels like it feels bad. But yeah, it just really seems like Nella's not in a place for a romantic entanglement right now. So I'm concerned that that's where the story is going to go. But if it's just going to be like Three Sisters Island, focus on found family, I'm going to like that. So only time will tell where that's going. But that's the Shelf This Book Club book. And frankly, I've been making notes. I've got a little notebook with my Kindle and I've been writing all my thoughts down. Something just moved me to do that. So that's what I'm doing. And that's the end of this update. I do think I'm going to finish Assassin's Apprentice first. This weekend I am hoping to do my reading day, but I don't know if I'm just going to be finishing, one of the books I've already talked about, or if I should just like try to read the entirety of a My Choice book in one day. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this update. Sorry if it was really long. What bird is that? What is that? Who are you? Oh my god, it is. It's a jay. I thought it looked like a jay, but I've never heard one make a sound that wasn't squawking. Okay, Connor's throwing axes. I have to go. Okay, updating you from my car. Parked, though, because I completed a My Choice book. I was intending to pick an arc for My Choice, but then I accidentally read a different book and I thought I would rather just count that for jokes because that's how jokes works. Like every book has to fit into jokes. So that's my choice. I was on Zoom with some friends recently and we were discussing The Giving Tree. You know, the one. And not everybody in the chat was familiar with the story. And so Adriana from Carbon Bonded Books actually ran and grabbed her copy of it and read it aloud on the Zoom call. So there you go. I read The Giving Tree. I did rate it on Goodreads. I gave it 4 stars. It's not the first time I've read it. Although, like, have I ever read it or have I only had it read to me? I don't know. But anyway, I did tear up a little bit on the Zoom. That book is so sad. If you don't know, it's a children's book about a boy in a tree and how the tree just keeps giving and giving to try to help the boy be happy. And no spoilers, but it's really sad. Oh, so that's my choice book done. Hi. Lots to update. Where to begin? I'll begin with the first thing that I finished since we last spoke, which is The Assassin's Apprentice. So I finished that a couple of days ago, I think, and I loved it. I had a great time rereading it. There are some things I can't wait to talk about once the friends I'm reading it with progress a little further, and there's also some stuff I can't wait to talk to Connor about because it's stuff that we both already read in the Live Ship Traders, and there's things that were tickling my memory when I was reading it, and I can't wait for us to be able to go over some of what happens in the next series. Anyway, I gave it 5 stars again. I just think that it's written so well. There's such good character work to me. I love the lay of the land. I love the whole thing. So I had a great time reading Assassin's Apprentice. Thanks, Jokes, for making me read it. Then after I had finished that audiobook, I actually started listening to The Arbornaut, and I'm now 45% through this book. So it's about Meg Lowman. It's sort of a memoir. It's within the genre of what I call science memoirs, which I like. It's kind of the only sort of memoir I really am interested in reading. Because it's about, yes, a person's life and journey through their field and their discoveries and stuff, but also you learn a lot about whatever topic they're studying.
And that's kind of what this is, but it's not too memoir-y. It's actually a great audiobook, I think, because it's a lot like listening to a podcast about trees, where every chapter is sort of centered around a different tree. But, you know, she shares anecdotes about her discoveries and her academic and research like life and the people she met and whatever, but it's mostly just it's mostly about the trees. It's not that much about her. So is it good or bad? I don't know, but I am enjoying it, and I do think that makes it very podcast bingey. Like, I feel like it's very easy to listen to, and I'm glad that I'm doing that instead of trying to read this physical copy that I've had for so long. What the title is referring to, the eighth continent, is the canopy of trees. So she did a lot of work in rainforests and contributed a lot to conservation efforts and that kind of thing. And just research into what goes on in the tops of trees. Like, before her, it sounds like for the most part people only studied trees based on like the ground level trunk, and there's so much more. So she did tons of research and like how insects interact with the leaves and all of those like relationships, and it's really interesting. There's a lot about biodiversity and just like natural organisms interacting. Like, it's very interesting, and while it's not something that really gripped me as a eyeball book, I really like it as an audiobook. So we're making progress. This is the one I'm reading for more than a year. The other updates involve Cursed Bread by Sophie McIntosh. I have about 60 or 70 pages left, I think. So I'm planning to finish this today. It is my reading day, which I was awarded from my TBR game. I did everything I needed to do this week ahead of time. So now it's Sunday and I'm just reading and filming with clip. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this today, I'm pretty sure. I've already read about 70 pages today, so 70 more seems totally doable. It is weird, but I'm enjoying it. But like, I'm glad it's this long. If it was longer, I don't think it would be as good. But I like how it's written. And the final update is about Dance Upon the Air, which is on my Kindle. That's the Shelf This Book Club book. And so I don't want to say too much about it because I like to save all my thoughts for the live show, but I actually don't know if I'm going to be able to go to the live show based on the day that it's supposed to happen. Anyway, I think I'm 25% done with that book, and I don't like it. I'm going to keep reading it because I just like, it reads very fast, and like, I want to know, but I feel like it was written in 2001 and it reads like that. There are so many offhand misogynistic comments made by like all the people in town, like constantly. And it follows a woman who is running from her abusive husband, and she's like having flashbacks and stuff. So we're getting some information about how bad the abuse was, and at the same time, like, she's trying to like build a new life, and all of these perfect opportunities just fall right into her lap, which is like, it's like, what if building a new life wasn't the plot of the book, like, what's the plot? Because that is what I thought the book would be about, but it all happened right away. Like, she got a place to live, a job, friends, like everything just happened. So now what are we gonna have to read? There's some like mystical, magical elements, but also there's this guy, the sheriff, and I fear that it's a couple that we're meant to be rooting for, her and the sheriff, but I don't respect him, and I don't agree with, not even agree with, like, I think he's behaving badly, and I don't want to be asked by this book to ship him and our main character, because I think like she deserves better, and it's like, is it 2001 or is he actually meant to be like an evil character? Like, I can't tell. So that's why I have to keep reading, I guess. So I said I wasn't going to say too much about my thoughts, but then I did, so sorry. But yeah, I think I'm going to keep reading that. Goals for today, finish this, and maybe finish something else. Like, I think I could finish The Arbornaut today. I think I could. And I think after I finish this clip, I'm going to go back to my audiobook and do some non-reading tasks. And then I'll finish this. Okay. Like, what I really want is I want to start my next flips. I want to start flips for my next episode. So I have to finish some things. Okay, good morning. I'm here because I'm almost done with this episode. I finished The Argonaut yesterday, whatever. And I really liked it. I'm glad I read it. I'm still really glad I listened to the audiobook instead of reading this physical copy. But I didn't love it. And I've kind of been trying to put my finger on exactly what I didn't like that much, like why this wasn't stellar to me. Um, when I last spoke about it, I believe I was still really enjoying it, thinking of it more like podcast episodes than chapters. But soon after that, it did get a lot more personal, and Meg started sharing about her experience as a woman in STEM and being discriminated against because of her gender in various career opportunities. And that I didn't love. And it's just because, like, I've read that narrative before and I think a lot about it and I don't like it. So I don't feel like I personally took a lot from that except like a bad mood. But I know that it is important for like people to talk about those experiences, and I know that not everybody picking up this book maybe has read several other science memoirs by women who talk about that same issue. So it's definitely an important thing to be included, but I just was like, oh no, is this about to be the rest of the book? But then it turned into her talking about how she still mostly about trees, to be clear, but the tree information and research projects and stuff were included alongside stories about how she helped other marginalized groups within the field get involved and learn. And she designed courses and workshops and outings for women in other countries where being a woman in STEM is much harder than it is for her in the US. She taught wheelchair users how to do canopy based field biology. She had all kinds of other like accessibility workshops and trying to make the field like a more open place for all people, which I think is amazing. It sounds like that is really important to her as a person, which I love that. So yeah, in the end, very good, very good. But if anybody came to me and was like, Ruby, I really want to read a book that's like about science, but has like some also like human interest, there's like a narrative to it, about trees, I wouldn't tell them to read The Argonaut. I would say, oh, you should read Lab Girl because it's just better written. I feel like that's the end. The end of this is just that Hope Jaron, the author of Lab Girl, is a much better writer than Meg Lomond, which Meg Lomond is clearly a terrific scientist, important scientist. She's done a lot of amazing work. But yeah, she's not an amazing writer. So for that reason, this book was not going to be top tier for me, which I'm bummed about. But it's kind of what my mom had said. She was like, yeah, it's really interesting, but she's not an amazing writer. So, okay, that's that. And I have now passed the 50% mark of Dance Upon the Air. I don't remember what I said about this, but it's about a girl fleeing an abusive husband and trying to start over new life on this small island off the coast of Massachusetts, like a smaller Martha's Vineyard or something. And I like her as a character, love the other women on the island, also love Ripley, who is one of the deputies, and Mia, who owns the bookshop cafe where Nell works, and some of the old ladies, like everybody nice, great, but the love interest, hate, 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 double hate, loathe entirely. He's really putting a big downer on the whole thing for me, and I don't know if it's like on purpose. Like, am I supposed to ship them? I feel like I am, and I don't want to, so that's going to be hard. But I do like the sisterhood stuff and the food. I love the food stuff. This is almost a book about food, so yeah, all that's great, except for the nasty man.
he just like he continues to cross her boundaries. Like I feel like she is recovering from trauma. He knows, like he doesn't know, but he like knows enough, and he has even like we've seen him say to other people on the island like that he knows that like something, you know, she's running from someone, like something bad happened to her. And he's still like anytime she sets a boundary, she's like, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to get involved with you, or like I don't want to get in the water. He's like ignores it completely, pulls her into the water, like gets involved, like makes all these. It just I don't like him. So that's where we're at. We're almost done with Jokes episode 1. Yay! I'm hoping to finish that book in the next day or two. So this might be a mistake to try and film outside right now because it is very windy, but I'm going to give it a shot because I want to film this today and I want to be able to do it before the sun sets. And the sun sets before Connor is done working and Connor talks on the phone for work. So we're outside and I'm DNFing Dance Upon the Air by Nora Roberts. So I feel like I've been wishy-washy about it. I've been like, no, I'll finish it. No, I won't. And I think it's one of those things where in my past life as a reader before BookTube and my channel and like doing different reading challenges, like it's the kind of book where I would just put it down and I wouldn't pick it up again for months or maybe just weeks. But it's just like I would just like set it down and I would pick it up again whenever I felt like reading it again. And I might interpret my reluctance to continue reading it like today as not necessarily about the book. Like I might just think, oh, I'm not in the mood to read. And that's that. But now I know that like I am in the mood to read. I was really wanting to read this afternoon, but the knowledge that like that's the book that I had to pick up, I was like, I just like don't want to. So I'm not gonna finish it. And I'm sorry about book club. And yeah, I also wanted to sort of prove myself wrong because I didn't think that the Nora Roberts style would necessarily be for me. And I was like, you know, I should try once in my life to read a Nora Roberts and see what's up because obviously she's very beloved. And yeah, I didn't like it. You know, maybe it's like the 2001 of it all. But yeah, just the way that the plot was moving and the way that, again, like the main male character, like the love interest, just not right. Is not right to me. And I just like I didn't like them together. And the pacing felt strange to me. A lot was happening plot wise while a lot was happening character wise, and I would have liked more word counts to be dedicated to the inner work of our character because her actions indicate that she has, you know, started to do some healing and grow as a person, but I don't know when or how. I just know a lot about like the running around she's been doing. So that was a disconnect for me. Anyway, DNFing, that means that I'm done with Jokes episode 1. So let's review quickly. I have my notes. Okay, my first prompt was a king, buy a book. So I bought Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I did not read that. My second card was a 3, so I had to do all 3 prompts. The first prompt owned over 1 year. I read The Arbonaut and I gave that 3 stars. The second prompt, reread of choice. I reread The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb and I gave that 5 stars. The third prompt, Connor pick. Connor picked Cursed Bread by Sophie McIntosh and I gave that 3 stars. The next book was a 7 and the prompt was book club. So I read Dance Upon Air by Nora Roberts and I DNF'd that. And for my choice, I read The Giving Tree, which I gave 4 stars. And that concludes the first episode of this round of Jokes on Me. Thank you so much, Bailey, for creating this game. It has been such an honor, such a blessing, such a joy for me to read it. I mean, play it and read it. I had a lot of books this first episode, and I was concerned about getting it done within the month, and I succeeded, so feeling great about that. And I have already started episode 2, so keep your eyes wide open for that. Okay. I think I now have to go inside because this is a little much. Thank you so much for watching, for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I will see you back here soon for another video. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.